We take off any old dead mummified fruit or remnants of, because the chances are, you know, that may well be carrying spore, fungal spore, and we've had wet seasons of late and quite a high incidence of powdery mildew. And powdery certainly affects grapes. If it gets into the bunches will rot and you won't want to be eating your grapes. So it's better to prune off any potential source of where the spore may be hiding. Sometimes I'll even clean the vine up a bit. If there's loose bark, I'll just try and remove some of that, because it'll be on that loose bark or underneath it that the fungal spore will be. So I've tidied that up a bit. I've taken off a bit of dead wood, right, and then basically this little piece of wood here is ready for, you know, for me to do some spraying. All right. Because there's nothing more disappointing than getting a fantastic bunch of you know, grapes all over your vine, and just as they're nearing, you know, or 3/4 of the way towards being ripe, all of a sudden they start rotting, and due to powdery mildew. It's mostly powdery mildew that affects the grapevines up here. And generally, I mean, you know, like in normal years, in our drought years, the incidence of powdery, unless water has been put onto the vine, we don't notice it. Last year, after 15 months of rain, on the roses, for example, was probably the worst year I've ever seen for a black spot, another fungal disease on roses, and yet I hadn't seen that for years, and literally never seen it in Alice Springs. But it was all over this last season, last summer. Okay, any further questions?
Do you have any kind of advice? Because you can have a nice bunch of grapes and there you have your birds eating your grapes. Geoff, what do you advise for that?
One of the things I like to do is I feed my grapevines now, right? After
What do you give it?
I give them, well, I mean, just a complete NPK fertiliser with trace elements, citrus food, rose food, something like that. I'll give them that feed now, and then in November I like to give my vines a hit of nitrogen. So I'll give them sulphate of ammonia or some other high nitrogen fertiliser, could be just cow manure, and that improves the foliage coverage of the plant, and that foliage cover protects the grapes from getting sunburnt in our really hot summers, but also it hides the grapes from the birds to a certain degree. Equally, hanging CDs in the vine or above the vine, the reflection of that deters the birds. Otherwise it's getting up there and putting netting all over the vine. I mean, you can also get small little protectors, and you can buy them in your nursery, your local nursery, and you can actually tie them over the bunches.
Like little bags? Yeah,
like little bags, but they're like a woven stocking type thing. And so the birds and other insects can't get, it'll protect the fruit fly, keep the fruit fly off the grapes, keep the birds off the grapes, it'll keep a number of things off them. So yeah, but yes, you've got to be careful, because I mean, particularly in dry years when the birds come in from out bush, yeah, they can devastate the grapevines.